It started on a day I'll never forget. I woke up to the sound of my heart pounding, not because of alarm clocks or morning stress, but because my Toyota Supra was gone. My Supra, the car I had poured years into customizing, the car I had spent countless nights polishing and perfecting, vanished as if swallowed by the asphalt itself. And the worst part, I had a very specific suspect in mind. The notorious HOA. Let me back up a little. Our neighborhood is the kind where everyone knows everyone else's business, sometimes too well. HOA rules, nosy neighbors, and petty disputes were part of daily life. But I had managed to stay under the radar until that day. I stepped outside, expecting the familiar roar of my Supra's engine. Instead, I was greeted by an empty driveway, the morning sun reflecting off the smooth asphalt like mocking silver mirrors. Panic hit me first, then disbelief, and finally anger. The kind that makes your blood boil and your mind focus on one thing: justice. I ran inside, grabbed my phone, and checked my security cameras. My blood ran cold as I saw the footage. A familiar silver SUV pulled into my driveway. The kid I'd suspected, grinning like he owned the place. And before I could even blink, my Supra was rolling down the street, gone in seconds. I knew calling the cops was an option, but in that moment, I felt powerless. I wanted immediate action, not bureaucracy. That's when I remembered the small but potent toolbox of self-defense techniques I'd read about, not for people, but for situations exactly like this. I grabbed a few items from my garage, my mind racing, heart hammering. Tires, I thought, not damaging beyond repair, but enough to slow him down. And if I timed it right, maybe I could make him regret stealing my car before the law even caught up. I jumped into my neighbor's pickup truck and started tailing him from a safe distance. My camera phone in hand, I tracked every turn, every acceleration, every desperate attempt by him to outrun what he thought was just another neighborhood chase. Minutes later, I spotted him near the cul-de-sac, carelessly parked, thinking he had outsmarted everyone. That's when I acted. One precise maneuver, and the first tire gave a hiss. The second followed. Smoke curled from the rubber as he realized his grand escape wasn't going to happen. I watched in grim satisfaction as he fumbled with the wheel, panicking. Moments later, flashing lights appeared behind him. Local patrol units arriving faster than I could have imagined. They swooped in and took him into custody within minutes. I stood there, adrenaline fading, heart still racing. My Supra was safe. The kid was caught, and my neighborhood had just witnessed a story it wouldn't forget. The moment the patrol units took him away, I thought the nightmare was over. But in our neighborhood, nothing stays quiet for long, especially when an HOA Karen is involved. Within minutes, I started hearing whispers, the kind that travel faster than sirens or tires on asphalt. And of course, the whispers reached her. By the time I got back home, my driveway looked like a media scene. Well, neighborhood media. Karen was already pacing in front of her house, hands on her hips, a storm cloud in human form. I could feel her glare slicing across the street, aimed straight at me, as if she had the power to melt metal with a look. "Where's my son?" she demanded before I could even say hello. Her voice had that unique blend of entitlement and hysteria, the trademark of every Karen I'd ever encountered. But this time, I was ready. "I don't know," I said calmly. hiding the rush of satisfaction bubbling under my chest. "The police have him. He tried stealing my car." Her face froze for a split second. Then incredulity took over. "He stole your Supra." Her voice rose, oscillating between disbelief and rage. "He wouldn't. He's my child." I couldn't help a small smirk. She had underestimated him and me. While she fumed, I realized something. The whole neighborhood was watching. People peeked from windows, some recording, some whispering, all captivated by the unfolding drama. This wasn't just about a stolen car anymore. It had turned into a neighborhood spectacle. Karen's son was a smart kid sometimes, but he clearly hadn't considered consequences. And she, the self-proclaimed enforcer of neighborhood morality, couldn't even control her own kid. That irony wasn't lost on anyone. I went inside, checked my Supra again, running my hands over the hood, the tires, every inch, reassuring myself it was intact. Meanwhile, Karen didn't leave. She hovered, probably calculating how to reclaim some sense of control over the chaos that had just erupted. Then came the calls. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" Neighbors reached out, some offering support, others simply drawn in by the spectacle. I realized something. This wasn't just my story anymore. It was a story the neighborhood would tell for months. The time HOA Karen's son tried to steal a Toyota Supra and got caught in minutes. As the adrenaline faded, a strange sense of calm washed over me. Justice hadn't been perfect, but it had been fast. And in a world dominated by petty HOA rules and entitled parents, that felt like a victory. Still, I knew this wasn't the end. Karen would be back. The whispers would turn into confrontations. And somewhere, her son was probably plotting a comeback. The next morning, the neighborhood felt different. It wasn't quiet, exactly. It was charged, buzzing with the aftermath of the previous day's chaos. People whispered behind curtains. Kids pointed fingers. And I could feel the subtle, judgmental stares of neighbors who were curious, skeptical, or just hungry for drama. The stolen Supra wasn't just a car anymore. It had become a symbol of rebellion, of consequences, and oddly, of community spectacle. Karen didn't waste any time. By mid-morning, she had mobilized her personal army of HOA sympathizers, all marching down the street like they were on a mission to restore moral order. I watched from my porch, Supra gleaming behind me, tires intact, feeling a mixture of amusement and apprehension. She stormed up to my driveway. Her face the perfect storm of fury and disbelief. "This isn't over," she snapped, voice shaking with rage. "You humiliated my family in front of everyone." I stayed calm, letting her words hang in the air like smoke. "Your son stole my car," I said evenly. "The police handled it. Nothing else needs to happen." Her eyes narrowed. "Handled it. You took matters into your own hands. You could have seriously hurt him." I tilted my head, letting the irony sink in. He had stolen my car, defaced my property, and risked lives trying to escape. Yet, somehow, I was the villain. I could feel the tension building, not just between Karen and me, but radiating outward, reaching every neighbor who had watched the entire ordeal unfold. Then something unexpected happened. A few neighbors approached quietly with stories of other minor incidents. Karen's son had been involved in petty thefts, reckless driving, neighborhood pranks that had gone too far. What had seemed like an isolated act suddenly revealed itself as part of a larger pattern. The whispers became conversations, and conversations became murmurs of outrage, not just at her son, but at the entire household's sense of entitlement. Karen noticed the shift immediately. Her aura of control began to crumble as murmurs grew louder. I could see the panic flash across her eyes as neighbors started questioning her authority, wondering how she had let things escalate so far. Meanwhile, the police report was filed, and I had photographic evidence from my chase, proof that the Supra was recovered safely and that the son's actions were deliberate. I realized something important. This wasn't just about a stolen car anymore. It was about boundaries, consequences, and the delicate balance of our neighborhood. By evening, Karen retreated, at least for now. The storm had passed temporarily, but I knew better than to assume it was over. Something told me that the next encounter would be more intense and maybe even more revealing than the last. The following days felt like walking through a pressure cooker. Every glance from a neighbor, every unexpected knock on the door made me feel the lingering tension from the Supra incident. Karen had retreated, yes, but her presence was still palpable. Her reputation bruised, her pride wounded, and her son. He was out on bail, simmering with anger and clearly plotting. I decided to keep my routine calm, not out of fear, but strategy. I knew the neighborhood was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. I spent hours detailing my Supra, making it shine like a trophy, not just for pride, but to show that reclaiming what's yours requires patience, precision, and a little daring. Then it happened. The inevitable confrontation. Karen's son, bolstered by misplaced confidence, tried to approach me in the cul-de-sac, acting like yesterday had never happened. "You think you got lucky," he sneered. "This isn't over." I looked him square in the eyes, my adrenaline tempered by experience. "It's over for now," I said calmly. "You learned your lesson the hard way. Maybe next time you'll think twice before stealing someone else's property." He laughed, sharp and bitter. But before he could escalate, a group of neighbors, those who had witnessed the theft and its aftermath, stepped in. Their expressions were a mixture of disapproval and solidarity, sending a clear message. Actions have consequences. Suddenly, he was no longer intimidating. He was isolated, exposed. Karen appeared minutes later, storming toward him, face flushed and eyes wild. I could see the tension unraveling in real time. Her authority over the situation had crumbled entirely, replaced by the undeniable truth. Her son had crossed a line, and everyone could see it. The police, who had already filed reports, reminded her that further incidents would carry severe legal consequences. Her son's smugness vanished, replaced by a tense silence, and finally a reluctant acknowledgement of wrongdoing. For me, the resolution wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, boundaries, and reclaiming control in a neighborhood that thrived on petty drama. I realized that while adrenaline-fueled actions might bring immediate results, true satisfaction came from seeing accountability take root in the long term. By the evening, the neighborhood was quiet again. The Supra sat in my driveway, gleaming under the sunset, a symbol of resilience and perseverance. Karen retreated to her house, plotting silently, but I knew she had lost the narrative. And her son, he would think twice before testing anyone else in this community. Looking back, I understood one crucial lesson. Sometimes taking control isn't about confrontation. It's about strategy, timing, and letting the consequences speak for themselves. The neighborhood had witnessed it all, and the story of the stolen Supra had cemented itself in local lore. And as I sat in my car that evening, engine humming, I felt the quiet thrill of justice, swift, precise, and undeniably satisfying. If you loved watching me take control and see justice served in this crazy neighborhood showdown, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps. And if you want to see more wild stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an epic moment. I want to hear from you, too. Comment below and tell me what you would have done if someone tried stealing your car. Let's talk about it.